Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know what the heck happened. We're still getting a lot of heat here, humidity. Give me a few minutes, guys. Ah, this screwed up. How's that, you guys?
From the rusted gates of a factory town to the neon lights where the sun goes down, from the rows of corn to the city street, you can feel the rhythm of a million feet. With their hands that build, with their hearts that pray, we're the ones that show up at the break of day. They try to tell us that the thread is torn, that the promise died before we were born. But look in my eyes and you'll see the fire. We're taking this country higher and higher. We are America. One voice rising like a thunder roll. We are America. Heart of a lion and a worker's soul. From the purple mountains to the deep blue sea, this land was meant for you and me. Ooh, we are America. We don't need the chains or the puppet strings. We just need the truth that the morning brings. Common sense in the words we speak, protecting the bold and the tired and weak. It's a simple creed, it's a heavy load, but we're the ones walking on the honest road. It ain't about the left, it ain't about the right, it's about the stars in the middle of the night. It's the red, the white, and the deep, deep blue. It's the spirit living inside of you.
Watch out!
We are America. One voice rising like a thunder roll.
Freedom!
We are America. Heart of a lion and a worker's soul. From the purple mountains to the deep blue sea, this land was meant for you and me. We are America. Yeah, we're still here.
Hey, God bless America, USA, and our military, and First Lady, and our best president ever. Okay, so I'm gonna do something different until the weather dies down. This whole summer is probably gonna be really muggy and sticky. I'm gonna stay with the 5, 10, and the 20, no more than the 20-minute videos. But I'm gonna go hour by hour. After the second hour today, if I feel okay, I'm gonna do Mel. Mel does have an hour video. So I'm just gonna go do a lot of show. I got a lot of great videos today. A lot of good ones. They're all short. The best ones are the 5-minute ones. Excuse me. Yeah, because It was an awful day yesterday. Everybody was getting sick, I think. And today, I think my fan was uh, on, and it wasn't on the air, so all afternoon it was felt good. Chico feels better too. I think he's laying on the couch out cold. Today was a better day, and I just said we got a lot. I got the even when you do Intel, Benny and Trisha, they only do a 10. They only do a 10 minute and a 15 minute one, so saying they get a lot out in 10 minutes. So we're gonna, do all the 5 minute ones and stuff, and see what happened after the second hour. And there's no Billy Me. I think she might have came out last night, but we do got the first one is the cat lady. She came out. There's 4 minutes on the first one. So far, that's all she got out. Ori, KK's not in here yet. Michael and got the other half. Carol, Lucy, and Tim. So we will go ahead and get started. We got a lot of good 5-10 minute videos. Ah! Oh, come on. Screwing up already. Ah! Nothing's going right. I thought I had everything all set up. They're not going to let me. Oh, I can't get the cat lady right now. Darn it. I don't know why I can't get it. We'll get the cat later, you guys. We're going to do the next one. Okay, we'll get that one later. There you go.
Just dropped into a name somebody picked for you. People point at things and teach you sounds. And eventually you forget these are labels and start believing they're walls.
4 minutes.
Then years pass. You build routines, collect opinions,
3 minutes.
learn how to smile at the right moments, learn what parts of yourself earn applause, learn what parts stay hidden, until one day, for no obvious reason, sunlight hits a window, a song catches you, someone says your name with unexpected kindness, and for a second, something ancient inside you looks up like, wait, I remember something. Not a place, not a face, just the feeling that life was never supposed to be reduced to calendars and passwords. You begin noticing strange things, how nobody really knows what they're doing, how adults are mostly children wearing expensive expressions, how time speeds up every year like reality slowly pulling itself back in. You notice that every person you meet is carrying invisible weather, private storms, secret victories, entire universes hidden behind eye contact. Then the question arrives, not who am I? That one changes.
Got the cat.
The better question, what in me stays? While everything else changes. Because your body changes, your beliefs change, your dreams trade costumes, people enter, people leave, entire worlds disappear and nobody announces it. But something remains, watching, listening, experiencing, silent, patient, untouched by the rise and collapse of identities. Maybe that's what you are, not the character, not the biography. Maybe you're the place all of it appears. Which means this life was never a prison. Maybe it's closer to a museum. Walk through it, touch things, laugh loudly, cry without apologizing, eat slowly. Notice the sky more often. Tell people what they meant to you before time edits the opportunity out.
How's good, Lori?
Because eventually this
Everything
whole
good?
strange experiment ends. You hand back the body, the roles, the unfinished plans. And whatever waits beyond asks only one thing. Did you actually show up? Or did you spend the whole thing preparing to live? So while you're here,
This is pretty good.
the impossible to fully explain. Leave fingerprints on moments. Become harder to define and easier to feel. And when the curtain closes, leave smiling, like someone who finally remembered. They were never separate from the story. At all.
Okay, it's over. Okay, I got a short clip on yesterday with Trump and Zelensky. How you doing, bud? This is now 4 minutes. I fast forward it. I don't know where that clip is. I got the wrong one. I'm going to do the next one.
Where he believes he met members of this cult.
Let me explain. When I was young, I couldn't drive yet. I was hanging out with the older guys out on Point Doom, and somebody popped in a cassette tape into a VHS player. And there was a room with a body, I believe it was a male, laying on a table. And people came around the room. It was dimly lit, but they had hoods and robes on. And they had some sort of ritual where they took out a knife and they cut him down the side. It was his right side. And they took out parts of him, and the blood started flowing. And they were chanting. And there was women there, and they took off their clothes, and then they took the blood and they smeared it on their bodies and started to be sexual with each other. It was quite disturbing to see. And so
Very important to get
they
out.
gave me the cassette, and I took the cassette to somebody I trusted, and we watched it. And they said, never watch that again and give it back to whoever gave it to you. So I did that, but I was always confused about why they didn't ask where it came from. And so I believe that I met some of the cult members when I was younger. If in fact we have no accountability or justice, it could be because these people that are supposed to bring us justice and protect and defend the Constitution are corrupted by this cult. I have no fear of them. You know, I only fear Jesus. And so perhaps whoever's investigating these folks needs to we need to go a layer below the top and come up from the mid-level, who are not cult members, or been blackmailed by the cult, possibly. Because that's the only explanation I have for why we haven't had accountability and justice for what they've done to America and continue to do to America, while we all just watch. So I share this with the hope that those mid-level people that are investigating at the FBI and the CIA will understand that their superiors perhaps will never give us justice because of the level of blackmail involved. All right, that's off my chest. That feels better. Now you all know. God bless America, and God bless those trying to defeat this cult. In Jesus' name, I give you this message. Amen.
Okay. Important video to get out, share.
Chrome. I'm here in
While we watch people handle.
What the heck happened there? Jeez.
and believe it. I am shocked. I am horrified. It's an insult to the Islamic community. It's an insult to mosques. It's an insult to the Mujahideen. And it's an insult to Muslims everywhere. If I was Sadiq Khan now, I would be raging. I would organize a public prayer meeting here in Mogadishu in order to protest this, because I'm shocked. The Muslim Council is shocked, and everyone is shocked. Northern Ireland people should know much better, because honestly, you should allow thousands of illegals into your country to do harm. You should allow illegals into your street. All that they've done is just a simple little bit of beheading, a simple bit of stabbing people's eyes out, a simple bit of not being conducive to the public good. But you should not protest that, no. But also the same Article 10 of the European Human Rights Act that allows illegals to come into our countries is the same Human Rights Act that allows protest and cultural expression. And after all, this is a bonfire that celebrates the Battle of the Boyne back in 1690. So it's a cultural thing and a protest thing. But either which way, we are outraged by this whole thing. It's despicable, it's disgusting, and I do not condone this behaviour in any way whatsoever. Go on then.
Okay, that's your clip right there. One more, you guys here. 6 minutes.
Now remember, Black's Law is what they use and teach in law school. So when you look up the definition of a constitutional right, it's a right guaranteed to the citizen by the Constitution, and so guaranteed as to prevent legislative interference. That means our lawmakers can't create any statute, rule, code, policy to interfere with a constitutional right.
Constitutional right. A right guaranteed to the citizens by the Constitution and so guaranteed as to prevent legislative interference therewith.
So let me ask you, who's teaching the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch that they can use a statute to interfere with constitutional rights? You see, in the state constitutions, we the people accepted the bills and declarations of rights out of the powers of government forever. That means they can't rule, make, or legislate because they have no authority.
1838 Florida Constitution, Section 26. That frequent recurrence to fundamental principles is absolutely necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty. Section 27. That to guard against transgressions upon the rights of the people, we declare that everything in this article is accepted out of the general powers of government, and shall forever remain inviolate, and that all laws contrary thereto, or to the following provisions, shall be void.
So now that we've established the rights of the people are outside of government's power forever, let's take it a step further. So now let's escalate this thing a step further. I want to show you guys the Mason's Manual for Legislative Procedure.
Wow.
You see, the state legislator takes an oath to support and defend the Constitution. So what are they doing when they start creating legislation to interfere with constitutional rights, to attack constitutional rights, to violate constitutional rights? I'll tell you, they're violating their oath, they're violating the contract, and they're committing treason by warring against the Constitution. It's that simple. So let me give you one more drop of evidence that the state legislator is committing treason. I've got the Mason's Manual for Legislative Procedure. This is their rule book. Every state legislator has to follow this rule book. All right, so I got the Mason's Manual for Legislative Procedure, Chapter 2, Section 7. Let's roll.
CC. 7. Constitutional requirements concerning procedure must be complied with. 1. Being organic in character, constitutional provisions stand on a higher plane than statutes and, as a rule, are mandatory. Constitutional provisions stand on a higher plane than statutes and, as a rule, are mandatory. Constitutional provisions stand on a higher plane than statutes and, as a rule, are mandatory. 2. If Congress or a state legislature violates a constitutional requirement, the courts will declare its enactment void.
So Constitution provisions stand on what? A higher plane over statutes and are mandatory. So according to the Constitution and the Manual for Legislative Procedure, can a state legislator interfere with a constitutional right?
No.
Hell no. Is anybody going to start calling out treason? Is anybody going to stand on the text of the Constitution? Is anybody going to start exercising your political power? Because the contract that all government takes an oath to support and defend is on your side. We the people. The government has no power, authority, or jurisdiction when it comes to the rights of we the people. Their only job is to protect the enjoyment of your life, liberty, property, and pursuit of happiness Any other function is usurpation and oppression. It's really simple, folks. Just say no to politicians and corrupt government. We the people are the boss. It's written down. It's simple. It's easy to read. I'm not going to participate in government overreach, government corruption. These servants are all duty bound by oath to protect and defend the rights of the people, not interfere, not attack, not violate.
We have inalienable rights. They don't come from government. They belong to each of us. And government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. We are the sovereign of this country, we the people.
Okay, this is not a photo I want to share. I got a couple photos when I get to the next video. What he just said about the government. So that's the latest update with him. We haven't heard him in a while. Thanks, Michael. So, reading this sign from Michael Jackson. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. That is absolutely correct, I think. Okay, the next one is going to be. This is good deal, a minute clip.
That have been here for decades, that were brought as children, that haven't committed any crime, that pay taxes, contribute to the country.
If you've come into this country illegally, by the very definition, you have committed a crime. There has to be a standard. So my plan is very clear. Number one, the borders must be secured. President Trump has done that. Number two, you have to deport criminal illegal aliens. President Trump is doing that right now.
But there seems to be more effort on controlling immigration and doing raids and deporting people than in fixing actually the immigration system.
That's not true at all.
Outdated.
That's not true at all. The number one thing is that you have to go through the process of deporting criminal illegal aliens. They're not just going to show up and say, here I am, on second thought, now I'm going to leave. You have to deport.
What he is saying is absolutely correct. Just because all these people poured into America, just because if you're a Mexican coming in from Mexico as a child or your parents brought you, just because you walked across the border and didn't commit some felony where you're rotting in jail, that doesn't mean that you are a U.S. citizen or should get to stay here. Other countries have immigration laws too. Let's just take a look at what happens if you break into one of those countries. Well, in Russia, you get 2 years in a labor camp. In India, 8 years in prison. In Australia, up to 5 years in prison and mandatory detention before being deported. In Australia, it's actually even more strict than that. Before even moving there, you have to prove your worth. In Mexico, up to 2 years in prison for first illegal entry. Think about that. These people walk across all day long into California, and they live forever. They work, they never pay taxes, they sign up for benefits. But if you try that in Mexico, that's 2 years in a Mexican prison.
That was a good one. Okay, we got a 4-minute one.
Because they won't let us sail below the 60th parallel doesn't mean the Earth is flat.
Yeah, what about the accounts from the men who actually did?
What are you talking about?
William Morris, late 1700s, traversed along the Antarctic Circle until he found it.
Found what?
Summer's Gate. Every Glober's worst nightmare, one of the 3 exits along the ice wall. Said the crew was too scared to go through it, but by the time they tried pulling out, it was already too late. Current yanked them through the opening into the other side, beyond the ice wall.
My God.
Sailed through these unknown waters until
what?
They were approached by a massive red ship, unlike anything they'd ever seen back home, and it started blaring an unbearable horn until they finally realized William and his crew were no harm. They brought them up on board, and the captain of this giant red ship introduced himself to William as the leader of the ancestral lands, said his name was Tolliver. Yawning, William was in shock at this point, like trying to take in the fact that there was like this whole reality outside of this ice wall barrier. And Tolliver asked him what he was doing in these waters. William kind of apologetically said, like, I'm sorry, we just wanted to explore what was out here. Like, right. And Tolliver said, like, no, it's fine. It's been so long since we've seen anyone come from the inner ice wall. Tolliver handed William a map, and he said, take this. It will lead you to the safe lands. Move swiftly now. William said, like, the safe lands, like, I'm sorry, is there something dangerous out here? Like, are we in danger? And Tolliver said, oh, my dear boy, things out here on this side are just fine. You see that place you've emerged from, those people in there are what we have to worry about. He said the leaders of the inner ice wall of your Americas are tyrannical oligarchs who will stop at nothing to keep control. And so William went back to his boat and told his crew about everything the captain said. He goes like, look, guys, I don't think we're going to be able to go back home. Like, these people are in some kind of generational standoff with us. Like, we've been lied to about everything. And as he showed them the map he was given, he goes, there's a whole other world out here. And they just looked at this map, which still circulates today, that has shown like literally 178 different worlds under the same biodome, all kind of connected by oceans. And so they took the directions to the ancestral lands where things were safe, and they were kindly greeted by a beautiful kind of like utopian city where everything was just kind of a peaceful, gracious, and like abundant plethora of just like life. So William was escorted into a kind of headquarter building where a sergeant said to him, William, we'd be happy to process you as a citizen to the ancestral lands. We are aware that you are from the inner ice wall, and we're deeply sorry about the things you've been subjected to. And William just said to him, like, but sir, my family, my people, like, they are all inside of there with no knowledge of these lands beyond. Like, what will be their fate? The sergeant said to him, like, I understand your concerns, sir. I truly do. We've been trying to liberate your realm for centuries, but your leaders are ruthless. He says to William, he goes, listen, if they find out that you've escaped, okay. If they find out you know about these lands, it could trigger another great reset. Okay, they could wipe out your guys' entire realm, leaving only an embryonic group of humans to once again reset your collective consciousness. Something they've done before, and believe me, they won't hesitate to do again. And William says to him, he goes like, great, reset, sir. We what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And the sergeant just says to him, he goes, buddy, let's just say the last time one of you escaped, you weren't wearing powdered wigs. Basically explains to him that our society in the inner ice wall has cycled through dozens of civilizations, all of which have like reached different levels of technology, kind of continually reverting back to primal beginnings every time they reset us. And so William basically agreed with his crew to claim citizenship in the ancestral lands, and they pretty much lived an amazing life for the next 10 years. But William's knowledge drove him crazy. Although he'd met a woman here and gotten married, he couldn't help but want to go back to the inner ice wall. And one day they both went missing. They took a boat back to the ice wall, and he distributed as much of this information into the Americas and European nations as he possibly could. And this is where all the flat earth speculation has reemerged from. I'm going to go ahead and say this is a joke for entertainment purposes only.
The way how he said that, yeah, I wasn't sure how that one was going to turn out. I got a short photo, then a short clip, then another short one. So here's the list of moving to and leaving to, guys. There's Florida. Texas is on there. Here's a short clip for everybody.
From the George Soros Foundation for undisclosed amounts. Caroline Levitt says, I think it's obvious that they've been compromised. Oh, yeah. 2 shall step down.
I'm just hearing this now. In the highest court in the land, the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, 2 shall step down for the embarrassment of what shall take place. For I wish to place in the highest court in the land righteousness.
I imagine it's going to be these 2.
Number 1 here.
It was no invocation. It was merely a propaganda
this lady?
speech, which ended by saying, "Hail, Satan." This person even wore devil's horns on his head, as if he was attending a Halloween party. It was a complete mockery of the proceedings. The community's backlash on this board for allowing that to take place in this chamber was more than warranted. Only one of you stepped out while the so-called invocation was being given. I admire and respect you, Commissioner Becker, for not participating in such a disgraceful display of what was supposed to be a prayer. The Clark County Commission should preserve invocations that reflect the foundational moral traditions and shared civic values of the overwhelming majority of the community it serves. Public invocations have historically been intended to encourage humility, promote unity, and seek wisdom for public servants. Many residents believe Satanism, whether symbolic or literal, represents values that are fundamentally inconsistent with the moral and spiritual traditions upon which American civic culture has long been built. The concern is not about denying anyone constitutional rights or freedom of private worship. All citizens retain full First Amendment protections. Rather, the issue is whether a government body should voluntarily associate an official civic ceremony with a belief system that many constituents view as openly antagonistic of faith, religious heritage, and community values. One of their tenets is the ongoing struggle for justice, and the necessary pursuit thereof should prevail over laws and institutions. Think about that for just a second. The Supreme Court has recognized that ceremonial prayer and invocations are deeply rooted in the nation's history and tradition. Historically, those invocations have generally reflected faith traditions intended to unify communities rather than provoke division or controversy. After all, we live in a Christian nation of which it was founded upon. "In God we trust" is printed on our currency for a reason. "One nation under God" is in our Pledge of Allegiance for a reason. Clark County, shut up. Clark County commissioners have a responsibility to maintain decorum, public trust, and civic cohesion. Allowing an invocation associated with Satanism could reasonably be viewed by many residents as offensive and contrary to the purpose of an opening invocation itself. It was shameful, disrespectful, and I hope it never happens again. In the Bible it says, "God shall not be mocked," and that day he surely was. I am here to proclaim the name of Jesus Christ in these chambers, to cover this place with his hand of cleansing and divine protection. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Okay, the lady's shouting out like that. I got a new 6.5, and then I'll do a 7-minute one of Billy Bean from last night. And then I'll get to Trisha and Vinny videos and one Nick video. Oh. Let me know on this one, you guys.
Send an email. You don't see the email leave the phone. It's a wireless, invisible signal, just like your body. It's a body part. So when I worked at UW Whitewater for my job, I found IBM software that they alleged was also used way back when Fauci and them wanted to get their shit off the ground for attacking the human immune system. Well, if you don't know that the human immune system is 80% your biofield, you called it the aura, you called it stupid. Yeah, I know. That's because 6,000 years of human telemetry, chiropractic, and the rest of it for your circulatory system just magically disappeared. Nobody has any idea what's going on. That was 6,000 years of the human circulatory system. You call it chakras. Yeah, they call it aim and fire. 150 years ago, Aleister Crowley and people, yeah, nothing's real except what you can see. There is no biofield. There's no cymatics, there's no radionics, there's no plasmonics. There's nothing except what you can see. Well, that's a body part that's responsible for 80% of our immune system. How do we know for sure? The definition of Children's Hospital, the organs and tissues that comprise the immune system, the thymus, the bone marrow, the lymphatic, your vessels, your spleen, and your skin. And so I'm like, yeah, the human biofield being watched by Project Salus. So the human biofield is the aura, is your W band, 802.15.6. Department of Defense Directive 3000.09, everything is autonomous. And you have an MQ-9 Reaper drone attached to your skin and bone.
All right.
That's a big bird for those of you that know. She's huge. And so for me, I'm like, why in the hell do we need something that big? Well, for those of you in radio frequency, yet again, that don't understand that we're playing around with the particulate in the atmosphere and perturbating the human biofield with the Doppler. Okay? And we're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about geoengineering and weather control, and all these systems work together. When I log into your body, I'm looking at multiple manifolds, torus manifolds, and then I'm using mathematics to log into your cell structure with something called biophysics, opto-array, electronic, photonic, moving your cells around with pressure, temperature, and physics, physical biophysics change. Not, oh, gee, I'm waving my magic wand. No, I'm logging into your body with radio frequency directly. This is how AI precision healthcare is offered. And I'm going to show you the bigger sign here in a minute. Step one, since 2005, any little nerd who could code in Zigbee and Bluetooth for light switches since 2005 is working with these biosensors, K-hop nearest neighbor routing, dynamic channel allocation, thermodynamic routing, right there. You can go look it up. Open shortest path first, body to body. How did I find it? Cybersecurity for the new digital ID and the 6G low personal area network. Machine to machine, no human can crack it or de-encrypt it or encrypt it. And it's ad hoc, vehicular ad hoc or whatever. And then the body is what sends the signal. Now, the moment that I found this mathematically by the metrics, I had a shit fit because I'm like, how in the hell are you using the human body for that? What are you doing? If you're doing that, you're using the aura. And of course, you can imagine as a natural telepath, having been electronically tortured lifelong for metrics, I'm like, what the fuck is this? You told me, not y'all, but family, professionals, people, oh, energy work is bullshit. The aura's not real. Only believe in what you can see. We're going to fix people's health. Well, I was told I had pseudotumor cerebri. Anybody who got an autoimmune disorder out there? You ever wondered why they can't fix it? Okay. Maybe I should get that other sign back here for a second. Where's your immune system? 80% of your immune system is in that field. Am I able to electronically log into you and change out the cellular homeostasis of your electrical cell structure? And anybody who knows anything about biology, do you shit ham sandwiches? When you go eat your lunch, after you're done eating your lunch, do you shit it out in the same format? No. And why is that? Because we're biochemical beings and we have electricity in our cells. Yeah. But if I hit you with the signal and I decouple your ass from your circadian rhythms by using the ratio, the golden ratio, to decouple, uncouple the cellular state. Now, where did I get this from? Tufts University, Dr. Michael Levin. Life extension, synthetic biology, immortality research. It's called regenerative medicine, biomedical tissue engineering, wireless tissue engineering. For that, we have to disassociate your electrical fields, plural.
Be safe out
This
there,
is called
Andrew.
the biofield at the
in.
National Institute of Health. In the quantum market share, it's called the quantum field. In morphogenesis, you heard me, synthetic biology, morphogenesis, it's called the morphogenetic field. And why? Because it's still all the same damn thing. Your cells at every level exchanging data in your lymphatic system, your tissues. And now they're hacking into that, changing it so that they can get transhumanism, synthetic biology, life extension. Where the fuck is everyone else?
That's the way to end it. Another important one, I thought. Okay, Billy Bean last night. Nothing so far today, you guys. So this is last night one. 8 minutes. Yes.
We pair global scale with.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean. Today's date, July.
Ah.
.30. I'm doing a flash update, and thanks for like, subscribe, and share, and especially for hitting the like button that helps my channel. The U.S. is now hitting Iran in what is described as an apocalyptic strike. So this began about 5:30 p.m., about an hour ago. That's Texas time. And the U.S. is now hitting Iran, and Bahrain is also hitting Iran, coordinating with the U.S. The U.S. has hit the southern Iran port of Chandabar, and the strikes by the U.S. and Bahrain are being described as apocalyptic type explosions. The U.S. has taken down in Chabar a marine traffic control tower. That's along the Strait of Hormuz, southern Iran coast. We have from Iran State TV that a massive strike by Iran will be launched versus the U.S. assets. And we have that the U.S. has hit Isfahan, major explosions there in southeast Iran. From international intel sources, it's coming out that Iran has given the go signal to Yemen, the Houthis, to shut down Bab al-Mandab Strait to close the Red Sea. And we see that the U.S. targets include, number one, IRGC Navy base plus gunboats near Bashir, plus soldier barracks there, plus missile launch sites. All that's near Bashir. Number two, Lavon Island, U.S. taking out an Iran oil refinery. Number three, Chabahar. The U.S. hits Iran military locations. Number four, IRGC locations in Abu Musa Island. Number five, Kelantan Pier and Port. Number six, we have Tus Yen Port, Also gunboats and drones. Number 7, Cyric. IRGC locations. Number 8, IRGC, Karnask, and Chroma Mauve. U.S. military units are taking down Iran's control of the Strait of Hormuz. We have this from Tusi TV. President Trump has said the MOU and the ceasefire are ended. Near Bashir nuclear power plant, which is staffed by Russia, the U.S. is hitting near Bashir nuclear power plant. The U.S. is also making hits near the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. And in this area, the U.S. has up many refuelers and, of course, jets, fighter jets. U.S. officials confirmed that Bahrain is coordinating with the U.S. and also hitting Iran. And we have this. We have that the U.S. has hit Shababar port that is near Pakistan, and also a power plant in that area. Near the Bashir nuclear power plant along the southern coast of Iran, the U.S. has made many hits in this area, also taking out Iran drone manufacturing locations. And near Cyric, the U.S. has hit near Bandar Jask, which is the location of the IRGC Navy. And we have U.S. fighter jets have just dropped 3 missiles or bombs. 3 major explosions are being heard in Iran, according to Iran Fars News, near a IRGC military site near Bashir. And also the U.S. has taken out a Marine control tower in Chababar. We have this from Enforcer. The U.S. hits Iran 5 times harder than anything seen before. President Trump says the MOU and ceasefire is ended. The U.S. is making major hits along the south coast of Iran to destroy Iran's control of the Strait of Hormuz. We have now from Enforcer that Iran has launched a response. The U.S. military hits the coast of Iran, and we have coming out of Iran's intel group warning that Iran will make immediate strong response. And inland, the U.S. has hit an airport and air defense system near Abratrach. So that's going on. This concludes my update. No doubt I'll be back later. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, that was last night. Nothing so far today. I got another photo I'm going to share. I'll see if you guys can figure out what they're pointing at. See if you guys can figure it out. Okay. What's that arrow pointing at? What is he holding in his? Very good, Carol. This about so the red folder.
This week, the Civil Rights Division has been focusing on
4
election
minutes.
issues
4
as
minutes.
we head into the midterms. Now, among the things we did this week was send a memo and a cover letter to all 50 state election officials and the District of Columbia, reminding them that under several federal statutes involving voting that I administer here at the Civil Rights Division, it is a crime to knowingly allow non-citizens to vote in those states' elections. Now, people got very hysterical about this. I got a lot of pearl clutching from Adrian Fontes in Arizona and talking about a slippery slope, and Deirdre Hutchinson in Utah claimed she was being singled out because she refused to give us the voter rolls under our civil request for that information to help those states that we requested clean up their voter rolls. The Washington State Secretary of State also made some remarks. The reality is no one's being singled out here. We want all people to be reminded that it is a crime to vote in a federal election if you're not a citizen. And it's also a crime if you're an election official or somebody up that food chain who knowingly allows it or conspires to make it happen. And so there, in fact, people are a little shocked because no one enforces these statutes, but there are actually so many of them. I wanted to go through a refresher, and there's so many of them. I want to make sure I get these numbers right. So there are multiple federal laws, of course, that make it a crime for non-citizens to vote under, particularly the 18 U.S.C. Part of the code. 18 U.S.C. Section 1015 makes it a crime to claim you're a citizen for purposes of registering to vote. Section 911 makes it a crime to falsely and willingly misrepresent your citizenship in the United States. And non-citizen voting in a federal election is itself a different crime, Section 611. But beyond that, there's more. Under the Help America Vote Act and the National Voter Registration Act, it's also a crime to aid and abet these crimes that I just mentioned. So Section 12 of the NVRA states that the procurement, casting, or tabulation of ballots that are known by an election official to be materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent is a crime. Help America Vote Act, Chapter 209, similarly indicates that it is a crime for anyone to conspire with another to give false information in registering to vote, 52 U.S.C. Section 21144A. Now, to be clear, each of these statutes has what's called a knowledge requirement, and we call it in the law, we learn in law school, scienter. Guilty mind, that means that there has to be a knowledge by the person who you're charging with the crime that they're doing this. And so, you know, if you're not doing this on purpose, then you have nothing to worry about. But many election officials in our country are on notice because there actually have been several federal prosecutions since this Trump administration involving non-citizens voting. And just this week, there was someone who's an Australian national who's voted in multiple elections. And as you stay tuned in the news, you're going to see more prosecutions that we're currently investigating and dealing with, and there have already been several. In addition to that, Civil Rights Division has also obtained a guilty plea together with our colleagues in Los Angeles of a woman who was illegally registering untold number of homeless people using a false address. So taken together, you know, these are serious issues. We want all Americans to feel confident when they go to the polling place or they cast their ballot in whatever way they choose to cast it legally, that their vote is being counted only once and only with other American citizens, and that their vote isn't being canceled out by some random stranger, whether they be a green card holder or an illegal alien here in the United States. And this is happening. In fact, you know, you're going to find out a lot more of it's happening than what people are willing to say so far.
This
so,
lady's good.
With that, we hope there are no prosecutions under these laws come November because everyone is following the law. So, you know, this is your public service announcement about making sure that only American citizens vote in all of our federal elections. Thank you.
Okay, that was an important one. I got a new one, 8 minutes, you guys, so let me know on this one. And then I'll do the next two Benny videos. A lot of new ones I wanted to get out.
Everyone, this is one of the secret of the universe that I just channeled right here. So if you take a pen and paper and you write,
we know this.
Woman, right? And men, right? Simple, right? You got the W and the M, which are a complete opposite letter. So if I write M and W, you can see it's the complete opposite. So let's write it like this. So we got the M and the W. So here's it. So what it forms, it's the infinity 8, which is energy, the infinite Mobius energy. So you have that M and W, which is the complete duality, and that's creating the infinity 8, which is infinite energy. So Q, which is quantum, equals 17, which equal 1 plus 7, 8, which equal infinite energy 2. So everything is energy, everything is quantum. You have it all here. And if you remove all these letters, the man, you have W and O, right? So we're going to write it here, W and O.
What do you guys think of this?
So you can inverse it. It will be O, W. And you can inverse it like this, O and M. All right, O, W, and O and M. What it is? It's the Om. Om is the frequency of the universe, 432 Hertz. And when we say Om, it starts with O and end with So it's Om. So there's a beginning and a start, which is the duality. So it begins with Om, with the 0 and 1 to end, 0 and 1, which is binary. 1 and 0 is 10 and equal X. So you have two sides of the X, 1 and 2. And same here, Q, it's a 0.
Is this gematria
and
triangle?
1. 0 and 1. Right there, you see the 0 and 1. So this is Q, this is quantum, this is infinite energy. You have it right here, Om. And we say Om while meditating to increase the frequency and energy. And Om has been transferred into Amen in Christianity. So you have it as well right here. The sound Om, when chanted, vibrate at the frequency of 432 Hertz, which is the same vibration frequency found throughout everything in nature. As such, Om is the basic sound of the universe. So by chanting it, we are symbolically and physically acknowledging our connection to nature and all other living beings. Physically, the act of chanting can also relax the body, slow down the nervous system, and calm down the mind. Lastly, chanting Om is a way to open and close practices, to delineate it from the rest of our day and designate it as a special time in which we care for ourselves and practice being mindful. So it's the start and the end. It starts with Ao and end with Om. So you have 1 and 0 together, create the duality, the infinite energy. Quantum, it's infinite. So you have it right here, my friend. And you can write it as well like this. The M. So this is an M. And if I put the W inside it, I go down, up, and down. Boom. So it's like the DNA strain. DNA. Boom. You have it right here, my friend. One of the secrets of the universe that they really don't want us to know. Everything is energy, and it starts from us, woman and men. Let's go. Just to clarify about the 1 and 0, which is X. This is why Elon Musk loved the X. This is why X is so important in everything in life, because it's like the creation, it's the union. Here, boom, you unify two, and the 0 and 1, 1 and 0 is the male and female. So you have the female and the male, and what it's doing, creation is doing babies. So like it's the complete creation. So you have the duality, the 1 and 0, which is binary. Everything is energy, everything is programmed. So everything is programmed, and in every computer, cell phones, every softwares, everything is energy, is quantum in 1 and 0, which is male and female, the duality. And if you put both together, you see here, there's the X here. Boom. If you put both together, you have the union of both, which is the creation. So here's one of the secrets of the universe, guys, right in front of you. Also, if you see the 8, the infinity Mobius, and the 8, which represent quantum and energy and infinite energy, you can see there's both sides. And in the middle here, you see the X again, which is the union of both sides of the 1 and 0 unified with quantum, like this. When man and woman unified, create energy, creation, and the union of both is the evolution, and it's create life. So have a great awakening, my friends. Love you all.
Interesting video. I got the next two is bidding, and then I want to get the JMC report. So I'm going to see how that goes. It's 23, but it's normally less than that.
Rogers is running for U.S. Senate to help struggling Michiganders. Mike Rogers, one of us, for Senate.
If you often feel your blood pressure is on the higher side, we recommend eating 2 pieces a day. If you want to maintain your cardiovascular health, we suggest making it a regular part of your diet. This is a
40 years ago, if you were pulled over and handed your driver's license to a cop, they would be able to check a computer system, find out if you were a felon or if there was a warrant out for your arrest, and then they'd arrest you. And that system has existed for a very long time. The government keeps track of you, what you've done, who you are. They've always done this, but now with modern technology, it's really accelerated. Like, I was just at the airport. I flew yesterday, and there's something called touchless ID, meaning you don't even have to show your ID anymore at the airport. You just stand in a biometric camera, and it'll scan your face, and the government knows if it's you and if you're allowed to fly or not, based on a very thorough background check of who you are and where you live and what you're doing. And that's how we operate our airports right now. If that's what's out in the public, imagine how much more sophisticated it actually is behind the scenes in the black boxes of our intel agencies. I say all this to tell you that the government has very thorough mechanisms for checking who you are and what you're doing. You may hate those. You may think it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. I tend to, but it is what it is. And so to think that the government doesn't know that there are millions, I don't know the exact number, but hundreds of thousands, millions of criminal aliens that are on voter rolls, like, that's insane. Of course they have a system like that. The government knows how many illegals there are in this country. They know where they are, and they need to round them all up, to be quite honest with you. But to say that the government can't use the systems that they have, which are immense, of data collection on every human being that is within the borders of America, to go and hunt down and to either deport or to criminally charge and prosecute these criminal aliens, is an obscenity against law enforcement and our own rule of law. But that's what Judge Sparkle Spookman decided to rule, striking down the Trump administration's expanded voter verification system, ruling that federal agencies unlawfully created a centralized database containing social security numbers that the government gives you and citizenship data to facilitate mass voter verification. Okay. So Judge Sparkle, as everybody knows, is a foreigner. She literally just got here. She blocked President Trump, even though 0 people voted for Sparkle. 77 million people voted for Trump. And she's from Trinidad and Tobago. She has Indian parents. And, well, she doesn't even go here. Somehow she's on the federal bench. She's also a dual citizen. Judge Sparkle decrees that America belongs to any random alien on planet Earth, just like our founders intended. Yes. Judge Sparkle, LMAO. They didn't just import voters, they imported judges too. A foreigner named Sparkle is dictating the law, the world's greatest superpower. You cannot make this up. Judge Sparkle Spookman blocked President Trump's SAVE verification system. She looks exactly like you think she'd look with a name like Judge Sparkle. They're not sending their best. They know actually exactly what they're doing. 0 people voted for Judge Sparkle. 77 million people voted for Trump. Judge Sparkle Spookman. All Americans. The patriot is rising. And the pattern recognition now from a Trinidad and Tobago judge elevated to a federal judge that can overrule the president. We need our mass deportations, and we need them now. Well, thank God the state of Florida is coming crashing in and saying, nope, Judge Sparkle is not allowed to do this. Federal judge in Florida orders DHS to restore voter system verification features of the SAVE system.
You hear about that yet?
Let's go ahead and read. Pensacola, because God's country, Pensacola, Florida, man, it's awesome. Federal judge in Florida on Tuesday ordered the Department of Homeland Security to restore key features of its systematic alien verification and entitlements system, including a social security search and bulk upload capacities that states can use to verify citizenship of illegals on voter rolls. U.S. District Judge T. Kent Wethrendell II, sounds like a total badass, ruled that DHS breached a court-approved settlement agreement with Florida and other states, disabling the feature following the conflicting decision by Judge Sparkle. In June, U.S. Judge Sparkle and District of Columbia vacated the SAVE modifications, finding they violated the Social Security Act. Okay. Wetherell, who approved the November 2025 settlement and retained jurisdiction to enforce it, held that DHS must restore the capabilities and that Judge Sparkle needs to be deported immediately to Alligator Alcatraz. I don't know. I wish.
Half my berries went fuzzy by Wednesday every week, and I just thought that was how berries worked. My friend who works in food safety testing had a different explanation for why it kept happening. Last month, she watched me rinse strawberries under the tap.
Just weeks after Judge Sparkle vacated the Social Security bulk upload features, a judge in Florida has ordered the agency restore the same features, which is verifying citizenship, because it's unconstitutional to have judges named Sparkle. That's right. Massive ruling in Florida. Judge Sparkle, BTFO. Reinstate the plaintiff's access to bulk upload Social Security system features in the SAVE system. Called out Sparkle's ruling, saying the SAVE system does not violate the law. It's a judicial war. I love it. This is awesome news. Judge Sparkle can get bent. Federal judge. Now, letting her rip. Trump appointed federal judge destroys ruling by foreign-born activist judge designed to help legals vote in our voting system. Very good. So there's been articles of impeachment now introduced to impeach Judge Sparkle. Good. Americans deserve free and fair elections. Judge Sparkle has no right to block the Trump administration from that. I have introduced articles of impeachment. There we go. Time to fight.
Feel better.
President Trump is savage truth posting on this. Let's go ahead and read some of the bangers. Now you know why communists brought in 20 million foreigners as fast as they could when Biden got installed. Judge Sparkle Spookman, unelected foreign activist judge, blocking the will of the American people. There should be no judge called Sparkle Spookman in America. This one from our great executive producer, ALX. Follow him. Democrats are terrified about illegals no longer being able to vote. Bring this all the way to SCOTUS. Judge Sparkle needs to go. Correct. We actually asked the Attorney General of Florida about Judge Sparkle, what was going to go on, and a little bit of a preview of things to come here from James Uthmeyer. Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much for being on the program. I'm very glad that I live in Florida and not under the dictatorial rule of Sparkle Snookman.
Yeah, Benny, thank you for calling into question these judicial abuses. We see it across the country. It's wrong. And I'll remind people at home, Alexander Hamilton wrote in the Federalist Papers, the power, the authority of judges are really only as good as the deference given to their orders by the other branches and the people. When judges abuse their power, when they exceed their authority, we should reject those opinions. And I'm glad to hear you talk about impeachment and removing these judges. We don't see enough of it. Here in Florida, we have judges that let pedophiles go free. They, rape and murder others, and then they're still on the bench. We've got to start impeaching these judges and making them live up to their oath.
I live in Tampa, and not long after I moved here, there was a district attorney. It was a George Soros appointed district attorney, and your boss, Ron DeSantis, ripped that guy the hell out of office and then destroyed his career and dragged him publicly for defying Florida law. And it seems like that's precisely the remedy that needs to happen right now with the federal judiciary. What do you think?
I totally agree. People take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, the rule of law. And when they don't want to do that, they should get a new job. The role of a judge is not to push radical politics and ideologies. The role of a judge is to enforce the law. Same with our prosecutors. They're supposed to put criminals away, prosecute, bring a case, do your job. If you don't want to do that here in Florida, we'll hand you a brown paper box and we'll find you a new job.
Okay, we got one in on them. I got one more with the committee here. Did we play this one yet? I don't know if I remember doing this one.
This amount of corroborating evidence. This is totally devastating, and we were only able to see half of the video, and I'll play it for you right now. There's a reason why Tyler Robinson appeared to panic and sweat after the judge allowed for the recording of his trans lover, Lance Twiggs, to be played in court. Let me just summarize what we learned here, and then we'll get to the actual testimony. This is a recorded interview from Lance Twiggs. It was heavily edited, allowed for by the judge, because what they are doing here in this trial is they're making a ruling on probable cause. And so the best material that the state has against Tyler Robinson isn't even being shown. And it's already completely devastating. This is what Lance Twiggs looks like today, in sworn testimony, under oath, speaking under penalty of perjury. And what I hear is speaking so that Lance Twiggs could get a plea deal in this case as a corroborator and a star witness for the state in order to not be prosecuted himself. So this is Lance Twiggs flipping on his lover, Tyler Robinson. And we just saw it happen in court. Photos of Lance Twiggs' phone are being read by the state. They confirm the text messages released all the way back into September when Robinson tells Twiggs to look for a note in the apartment and then admits to being the shooter and describes his failed efforts to retrieve the rifle. In these notes and in these text messages, which were called fake at the time by many, this is a confession. It's Tyler Robinson confessing, and people said, well, maybe they made up these text messages. Maybe they were all fake. Well, here are photos of Lance Twiggs's phone. So if they're end-to-end, and if they're reading them from both devices, and you can check the encryption, you can check the message. Well, those are real messages, okay? They're not obviously fake. Here's the photos of the phone, and this is Lance Twiggs in court saying, no, these are real messages. And what do the messages say? The messages say time and time again, I did it. I killed Charlie Kirk. I killed Charlie Kirk for you. And then explaining how the Charlie Kirk murder happened. Lance Twiggs describing how Tyler Robinson was acting erratically the day afterwards, crying and saying he wished he hadn't done it. More confessions from Tyler Robinson. Kept himself busy to stay distracted. Talked about turning himself in. Well, is this what an innocent man does? Cry and say, I wish I hadn't done it, and then turn himself in? Because he did eventually turn himself in. Premeditated enough to scout the roof multiple times, not prepared enough for what came after pulling the trigger. Ladies and gentlemen, what else did we learn? And then we'll play the videos. Lance Twiggs on Tyler Robinson after the murder of Charlie. I asked him in person if it was him who did it, and he said that it was. He started crying and then said he wished he hadn't done it. Text messages between Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs are incredibly incriminating. Tyler explains in the text messages to Lance about the rifle, changing clothes, trying to get the rifle, wrapped in a towel. Tyler talks about his grandfather and the specifics about the rifle that nobody would know. This is it. This is over. Twiggs testified Tyler Robinson admitted to killing Charlie Kirk, broke down crying, said he wished he hadn't done it. Twiggs also testified that the FBI surveillance photos appear to show Robinson. Open and shut case. This is utterly devastating. The note was real. The famous note that was left on the laptop on September 10th, saying, if you're reading my text, then I'm sorry. I left the house this morning on a mission and sent on auto text. I'm likely dead or facing a lengthy prison sentence. I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I took it. That's the confession. Lance Twiggs says, I got that note. That is the message that was written by Tyler Robinson. And then he says, when being shown the surveillance footage of Tyler Robinson, that they look like Tyler Robinson. Okay? Lance Twiggs admits under oath that Tyler Robinson confessed to killing Charlie Kirk. And I don't know, how much more do you need? How much more corroborating evidence do you need? This is the photo of Lance Twiggs's phone with the messages directly from Tyler Robinson. And then he confirmed that he helped in the engraving of the bullets, saying that he gave Tyler Robinson the engraver and helped him use it. He thought he was going on a hunting trip. So Twiggs testifies in video that Tyler Robinson was engraving messages on bullets prior to the shooting, and he testifies about the accuracy of the Discord messages. This isn't even the full confession. It's completely and totally devastating. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Lance Twiggs confession. Let's just begin with some of the just top line. Did you help him engrave bullets?
Engraving bullets before this? Yeah, I don't remember exactly when, but he had said he was planning to go hunting with his family. And he asked me for if we had a Dremel because he said he wanted to engrave messages on bullets.
Create messages on
and I just
bullets.
told him where Dremel was. And
so I told him where the Dremel was. He wanted to create messages on bullets. There were messages, of course, on the bullets, and those bullets have Tyler Robinson's DNA on them. And also the DNA of Lance Twiggs, because presumably they both used this Dremel.
So this device is both a DVD player and a CD burner, which already makes it super useful. You can watch your...
What about Tyler Robinson being on campus?
Okay, before he came home, had you seen the press releases, any of the media on this?
I'd seen one Instagram link, a friend of mine.
And here on the screen, you see these. Looks like there's 2 rows of 3 images.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize the person in these images?
I wouldn't say it with 100% certainty just because of camera quality, but that looks like him in terms of the shoes he's wearing, the sunglasses. I don't think I'd specifically seen him wearing that hat, but he was usually wearing a hat, and then jeans. So it definitely, especially the bottom, the last 2, definitely do look like him.
Okay, well, here we go. What did he behave like when he came home from the murder?
I saw him when I woke up. Like I said, he was up and around doing a lot of stuff around the house. And then I think I saw him after that message where I said I'll come home and say I'm doing laundry, because I didn't want him going to my parents' house right then when he said there was probably cops outside. So I went back home, and it was just him there, and I said bye to him, and then he drove off. So I just went back to my parents' house.
They black out certain parts of the video that are redacted. So that's what that is.
Sitting down, relaxing?
No, he was walking around a lot.
Right, and that's within the home?
Mm-hmm.
And did he talk about what he had done?
Didn't go into detail. I just asked him in person if what he said was true the night before, and he said it was. He started crying a little bit and said he wishes he hadn't done it, and then kept going around and just doing stuff, I think, to keep himself busy or distracted or something.
Crying and saying he wished he hadn't done it. And what had he done? He'd confessed to killing Charlie Kirk.
Where it begins Wednesday, 11 p.m. Will you start reading underneath that?
Yes. So this would have been from Tyler. It says, drop what you're doing, look under your keyboard.
And I apologize. Let me stop you there. How do you know that that message would have been from Tyler Robinson?
That's just, so any of the messages in gray would be from Tyler, and messages in blue would be from Lance. It's just the way the iPhone distinguishes the messages. And also Lance in his interview also acknowledges that, who was saying what.
And up at the top.
So that's Lance confirming in his interview that these are his messages and from his phone, and that Tyler Robinson left him the note that said, I murdered Charlie Kirk.
We've been looking at here are Bates number 54. Okay, the notes.
Yeah.
What do you recognize it as?
That was the note under his keyboard that he was referring to in the first text of that chain.
Okay, so where did you find this?
On his desk underneath his computer keyboard.
And
yep.
I assume you read it.
Yeah.
And then what did you do with it after you read it?
I believe I just put it back down on the desk after I took a picture of it.
Okay. And again, the time you read it was probably around 11 o'clock or so on the 10th.
Yes.
The night of September 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing that has been presented from the authorities in this case has now been corroborated with hard, direct evidence or eyewitnesses. Every single thing. And we haven't even seen, we've only seen a scintilla of the evidence that the state actually has. And we haven't seen everything. And we have only been able to see a videotape of a video that's being played in court. And that's what we have on the internet. So how damning is this actually in person? Ladies and gentlemen, will Tyler Robinson take a plea deal here and just ask for multiple life sentences, try and avoid the death penalty? I don't know. I don't know how you return from this, how you come back from this. I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't take a plea deal because you can get death by firing squad in Utah. And if there is any type of justice in this world, we'll get something like that. But it wouldn't really be true justice at all. You know what I mean? It's your boy Benny.
Okay, what I'm going to do now, I want to see if I can get 5 clips from ones in and then try to play Mel, you guys. I feel okay so far. I don't know if I'll get to Trish today or not. I got to play, I guess I got to play the cat lady on my phone, you guys.
Some shady character creeping around the area. So they call for a welfare check. Well, when they get there, they find the house sitter guy who was in his 30s, I think it's 31, this young USA student, unalived in a closet along with the dog that he was house sitting. So lo and behold, it was Kendrick Crawford, who was working for the USA as a contractor, got fired and got pissed off, and as he was leaving, he decided to hang out the window and fire a few into the building of the USA College. So the cops have been looking for this man a whole lot. Well, there's talk
4 minutes,
that he
guys. 4
knew
minutes.
the USA student, or he knew the guy that was house sitting. One of the two, he knew them. I think it was the USA student, but as far as they know, there wasn't really nothing going on. They don't understand why he did this, but they got him. He ran, hid in an attic. It took about 11 hours, I believe, but they got him. Then, did you hear, I reposted this on my regular page, did you see about the guy that was in a wheelchair slowly trying to cross this traffic area, right? So he's right in front of a police station. And this guy, his tattooed looking, gangster looking guy, white guy, walks past him and then turns around and starts walking towards him. Well, the wheelchair guy obviously says to himself, something's wrong. He starts trying to roll backwards. The guy pulls out a fucking cocktail mocktail, is that what you call it? Mocktail, lights it and throws it on the wheelchair guy. Well, when the wheelchair guy rolls forward, the flames are engulfing, right? He rolls forward, he'd been safe. How about gangster man runs over and shoves the wheelchair back into the flames, flip the guy over so he falls into the fire. About that time, God be grateful, detectives, a carload of detectives was driving by as soon as it happened. They jumped out, man, they ran with their guns, and the guy that did it flops on the ground, starts flopping like a starfish. Well, they got his ass, okay? So that's the two things that's happening. One thing you might not have heard about that may or may not affect you is China has been hit with a massive, what they call a typhoon, what we call a hurricane. It has hit a bunch of rescue organizations over there that have cats and dogs rescued. There was a man that risked his life saving them. Kudos to him. It also hit a venomous snake farm. There's over 900 venomous snakes that's loose in China now. There's another typhoon headed straight to China. I know this because my little overseas vendor is preparing, and she's scared to death because the dams are breaking, and she doesn't know what's going to happen. She said their government is playing down the number of people that have been unalived in this situation. So, guys.
Okay. Well, I got most of it. So we got snakes running loose now. Snakes and monkeys last.
By American weapons of war, not the peace of the grave or the security of the slave, I am talking about genuine peace, the kind of peace that makes life on Earth worth living, the kind that enables men and nations to grow and to hope and build a better life for their children. Not merely peace for Americans, but peace for all men and women. Not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.
Where we go one, we go all. Das Vidania, my friends. See you in the now, in the storm. And be well. Love and light. Bye-bye.
Okay, I thought that was an important one. I got about 3 more short ones, and then I'm going to start Mel.
Of you who are my original followers. So those of you who are new here to my social media accounts, largely my coverage at Capitol Hill started during the first government shutdown back in October of last year. And people from the US military and the federal government came to me begging for updates on what was happening in the Senate for their appropriations bills. So I made a promise to these people to always serve them. So I serve the United States of America and the people that work and serve this country. My journalism, my reporting is essentially to mainly benefit them so that they know whether or not they're getting funding for their respective departments and agencies, and most importantly, if they are getting a paycheck. And unfortunately, for those of you in the military, in the federal government, I am sorry, but you need to brace for impact. We are barreling towards a government shutdown in October. So I am sorry to the sweet military families. I tried so hard to get these appropriation bills done. I did not see this entire Mitch McConnell health situation happening. And so that's essentially why I have been covering Senator Mitch McConnell in his health situation, because it impacts my followers in the federal government and military. So for those of you who are in the military, I would recommend looking into, look, we have approximately a little over 2.5 months to start preparing for a shutdown in October. So I would look now at either saving, potentially looking into if you can get Army emergency relief now with if it doesn't have any interest in just pocketing that money, saving it for October. We just need to get you guys through October until November because Senator John Kennedy had passed this resolution withholding senators' pay, but it does not start until after the midterm elections in November. So the likelihood of a shutdown is extremely high right now, but it'll likely only be for a month. I believe that this shutdown, again, it'll be over in a month, but I think it's going to largely impact certain departments and agencies. I'll get into that in a moment. But first, my plea is to USAA, Navy Federal, and any other banks out there. You ran out of money for these people to be able to take out loans, hopefully zero interest loans with no credit checks, to be able to survive the last government shutdown. I'm begging you banks to please put several $1 million aside right now for the military and the federal government for October 1st so they can be able to go buy food, pay their mortgages, pay their rent, pay their car payment, take their kids and go out to eat. I'm begging you banks, please put this money aside now. We have 2.5 months to get this done. Okay, now let's go over the likely candidates for a government shutdown. Now, it couldn't be entirely the U.S. government again, but I think it's more likely going to be the Department of Homeland Security and DOD. Those are sticking points for the Democrats right now, especially as President Trump is asking for more money for the Department of Defense. So I think it's likely we will see the military get shut down. We'll see your pay stop. So those of you in DOD, military, go ahead and start looking at putting money away just to be safe for October. Those of you in the Department of Homeland Security outside of CBP and ICE, remember CBP and ICE are funded on a rec bill. You guys are good. You don't need to worry about it this time. But those of you in CISA, FEMA, Coast Guard, and anyone else in the Department of Homeland Security outside of CBP and ICE, you need to be prepared. This is the reason why. The Department of Homeland Security appropriation bills for fiscal year 2027 still include CBP and ICE. So if the Republicans refuse to remove those now that the CBP and ICE has this rec bill, that is almost certainly going to result in a government shutdown. So CBP and ICE, again, you're okay. You don't need to worry about that. You got that rec bill funding you through 2029. So for all of you, the rest of you, let me go through THUD. THUD, I think you're probably going to be fine. Legislative branch, I think you're also going to be legislative branch being Congress. I think you're also going to be okay, but you never know. So Department of Transportation, HUD, I don't think we're going to see any problems with your appropriations bills. Department of Labor, Education, and HHS. Again, I don't think we're going to see too many problems with this because the Republicans can always sweeten the pot for the Department of Labor, Education, and HHS and put some NGO funding in there. FTC, IRS, SEC, Department of State, Supreme Court, and Court of Appeals. I think you'll also be okay. I'm not too concerned about this, but I would still try to just put a month's worth of savings for October. Really, the big issues, like I said, DOD, DHS outside of CBP and ICE. So guys, I need you to hunker down. You need to start saving money now. We have 2.5 months to get ready. And that's my update to my original followers, the people that put me here at Capitol Hill. And the entire reason I keep reporting is to make sure that you guys know what's going on here in Capitol Hill. And I am here to protect all of you. So stay tuned for more.
Okay. I got Nick's, Shirley's mom, and then we're going to finish off, and that will put us at the 3-hour mark. I'm going to do Mel. I try to get more out, but I think a lot of people want to hear Mel. So we're going to get Mel out.
By federal authorities. 436 daycares are actively being investigated for improper billing, for making up fake attendance records, and for fraud. Also in the state of Minnesota, they are starting an electronic attendance program. Every time a child attends a daycare, they electronically have to put in that the child is going there, so it will match up to what they are billing the state for. All of this money is taxpayer dollars. It is coming out of the Child Care Assistance Program, so all of us should be concerned about this. As we've investigated fraud in America, especially in Minnesota, places such as the Quality Learning Center said that they had 99 children enrolled coming to daycare every day, and they were able to siphon out of us $1.9 million. We know 99 children were not attending. Another daycare in downtown Minneapolis, titled Minnesota's best daycare, they said 137 children were attending their daycare every day, and they were able to siphon off of us $3.4 million. In Minnesota, there are over 7,000 daycares, so 436 is just a teeny tiny bit, but at least we are putting the fraudsters on high alert. We're telling them that no longer can they get away with stealing our taxpayer dollars, money that is set aside to go towards needy families who need daycare and cannot afford daycare. Instead, this money has fallen into the hands of fraudsters. No longer are the fraudsters going to be stealing our tax dollars. 430.
All right, guys, let's finish the show off with a bang with Mel here.
Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. It is Wacky Wednesday. It feels like forever since we got together. But boy, do we have a very, very interesting show for you today. Let's just start with, let's go to the UK. Let's start with the UK today. Okay, the UK, they've incorporated their Swiss system that helps the UK banks speed up their consumer cross-border payments. Now, cross-border is going to be the hot topic of the day, so keep that in mind. This is that old Swiss system being incorporated into our quantum system. Understand, of course, the banks that are working along in the background to incorporate this new change or swift change is, of course, Barclays, Lloyds, HSBC, and NatWest. And the reason they choose the big banks is not because they are good, but because they're the biggest. And of course, we are seeing many smaller banks merging with the big banks. So understand that is why that is happening. And they have the infrastructure to take on all of those technologies that are required for our quantum system to be integrated. They're talking about the improvement of international consumer payments by implementing the SWIFT's new retail cross-border payments framework. Now, this gets really, really important as we come into Finance Friday. We're going to talk a little bit more about this, but I am going to touch on it today in the sense that we're talking about a new retail cross-border payment. And of course, we're going to talk about that in Finance Friday. We're going to get people to re-understand, because the central bank digital currency has come up and aired its ugly head again, so to speak, but it's actually good. So this retail banking structure is got to do with, of course, the Stellar network incorporating us, we the people, and of course, linking that to silver and of course, the native token XLM. So get excited about that. There's going to be some more education on Finance Friday regarding all of that. But they've been focused very much on what we call the wholesale CBDC, which, like I said, is the good part, where the governments and the restructure from your Federal Reserve into your US Treasury and so forth through every single country. Now, what happens is the system aims to show upfront fees, their exchange rates, that's very important, expected delivery time to your bank account, and this also aims to guarantee that the full amount sent arrives without any unexpected deductions. That would be a nice change, wouldn't it, ladies and gentlemen? That would be a very nice change if that could happen. So that is what is being implemented over in the UK. We did mention, or I did mention the other day on the show regarding the 9th of July, very important date. What's going to happen? Well, there's many interesting fun facts going on, not just in the UK, but I'm focusing on the UK today for a couple of reasons. But I did say that it was going to be D-Day. Now, this has got to do because the Manchester mayor Andy Burnham is running now for the Labor Party in the UK. Keep a little eye on him. Manchester Mayor, we focus often on the football, Manchester United, but I think we might have to watch little Andy. So very interesting times ahead, of course, for the UK. We'll see how that one transpires. Let's go over to Visa. This is also part of the new monetary system, the quantum financial system. Visa have now let banks. Now that's an interesting conception.
I don't know, you guys. Billy just came out with another big video.
They're letting or allowing banks to access their in-house cybersecurity. Please understand that the banks are losing their previous hold that they used to have. Hence why I said there's quite a few glitches in the system. But Visa are linking the banks with their cybersecurity capabilities. This has been launched. It's called the VTIP, which stands for Visa Threat Intelligence Platform. Intelligence, it's almost like an AI, isn't it? This service gives banks and other financial institutions access.
I'll see how I feel after this.
Okay, like I said, they took the power away from the banks. Therefore, they have to gain their security for cyber attacks through companies or corporations such as Visa. Visa protects its own global payments network. According to Visa, this is quite alarming, actually. But according to Visa, this internal systems currently block approximately 90 million cyber attacks and approximately 11 million phishing emails every month. Understand, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you are experiencing some very strange things in your banking sector or in your emails or any scam phone calls or text messages, Visa are telling us there's 90 million cyber attacks and 11 million phishing emails every month that they block. So bear with them if you have a blocked transaction. It could be to save you. Okay, let's move on. Friday the 10th. Let's go back though to the FBI. Kash Patel's office is now confirming that on July the 9th, the next batch of Epstein documents are going to drop. This goes back to, again, the D-Day for the UK, or the D-Day week, I should say, for the UK. It just so happens that the UK name's unredacted, and I guess we all know who that's going to be. There's 2 or 3 people over in the UK that have been unredacted from those Epstein files, or is it the fact that they have already disappeared quietly? We're starting to hear rumours, of course, about different politicians disappearing into the mists of wherever they normally go. But very interesting that that's also going to drop on July the 9th as well. Well, Thursday is Liquidity Day, injecting into the new Texas Stock Exchange. It's my understanding that the new Texas Stock Exchange is going to pretty much override the New York Stock Exchange. Can't do much better in New York at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. It is so corrupt right now. This is also linked, of course, to the Web3, which we're going to get into a little bit more, of course, in Finance Friday. Now, think of a web, okay? A web is connecting through the internet services all of the banking and infrastructure from those, like I said, from the central banks to your treasuries through into your banking systems, and, of course, all your government systems, such as your IRS and taxation services that we so muchly love to dislike. Anyway, the liquidity is coming. All right, so understand that these are fundamentals, and we require this Web3 to be dropped. This is the good web, not the bad web. We had the bad web taken office in 2012. But this is the web that connects, like I said, all of that together. So this is your liquidity. Interesting, isn't it? So Anthropic is also extending its access to Claude. When you understand about Claude AI, they're Fable 5 on all their paid plans through to June the 12th. And of course, votes are now closing in the Flare network. And the reason we talk about Flare is because Flare kind of acts like a Web3 in a sense. Flare network basically connects everything together. And that's going to be taking place as well in the coming days or coming week as well. So keep that in mind. We also go to Russia. While Russia is Pacifically, so let's go to the water. Russia has in the Pacific Fleet Task Force arrived in Qingdao, I think it is pronounced, in China for a joint Russia-Chinese and China naval exercise. Why is this important? Because it's the connecting of the dots of what's going on in the water. They're calling this the Joint Sea 2026. The drills are scheduled from July the 6th to the 13th. We're going to get to the July the 13th in a moment. But it's interesting where they're actually doing these exercises. They're doing the exercises Russia, China, in the Yellow Sea. Is this the yellow brick road, ladies and gentlemen? Are they doing the final cutting of the cables, perhaps, in the Yellow Sea? Who knows? But I just found that one very fascinating, that we see this exercise going on. Watch the water, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so let's go to do a backflip. I had so many notes all over the place today. I do apologise. But let's have a little bit of fun. On July the 9th, this is also the ending of the funeral for the Iran Prime Minister, or President, I should say, former President of Iran. This funeral's been going on for a week. So let's take a little step now back to the speech, of course, or the speeches that Trump spoke of on the 3rd and the 4th of July. He happened to mention about that he was giving them a week's break for this funeral. But I want you to look at this in a different perspective, in the sense that, is this basically the passing over of the old to the new as well? Of course, blessings to those, of course, who have, celebrated his passing. But to me, it's very much like the end of the old regime and giving Iran its new step forward. So just something, there was so much around the red carpet, the amount of people who attended the funeral. Trump does go ahead and mention it as well. Again, is this part of the actual reset? Just remembering, of course, talking about the 4th of July, the July the 17th in our calendar is also that of, in the Julian calendar, which is the military, still runs under the July the 4th. Trump also mentioned a couple of times there when he was talking about a lovely gentleman who was being recognised at 107 years of age. 107, 17, July the 17th, was he indicating something along those lines? We'll keep an eye on that. The 17th Gregorian calendar, the one that we are in, is also equivalent to, of course, Ethiopian calendar 1111. Ethiopia we have touched on a few times, where they actually talk about, they believe that is Jesus's birthday on the 11th of the 11th. 1111, of course, is a reset day. It's the beginning
is 11,
to all the endings. Guys. So keep that in mind as we progress through this illustrious week. How could I forget? There's also a big protocol going down on July the 8th, that being, of course, in the Stellar Network. That's Protocol 27, also is very, very important to the developments of our upcoming generational transfer of wealth. Okay, Friday the 10th is also the wrap-up of the Great American Fair. We call this the World Fair. The last theme on Friday. Now, Friday's always been a very special day as we wait for Donald Trump to depart or come back home, so to speak. But we are in time traveling, aren't they? Is he in a time machine right now? Because the theme for Friday, the final day of the Great American Fair, is called Next 250. The theme is innovation. And I did say, I think it's more about the technology or the new world or what is coming. So is Friday going to be an interesting day? What's also going on July the 9th, we see the Palm Beach International Airport will be renamed President Donald J. Trump International Airport.
I got a photo on that.
It was also a very interesting day that we want to keep an eye on because it talked about Seth Rich and how he passed on that day, but it's also Nikola Tesla's birthday on July the 10th. As we go to July the 11th, that's a 7-11 marker. And of course, as I said, it's getting very, very heated as into what's going to happen next. But let's jump into July the 13th. The Senate will return, and of course, the Clarity Act will be signed within 20 days. Is this the done in 30 marker that we've been waiting for? But of course, we know how important the Clarity Act is. That is also equivalent. And Cohen joins all of not just the Clarity Act, but also that of the Genius Act. Of course, President Trump also mentioned about Save America Act, which I mentioned about a month or so ago, and it seemed to have appeared, but that's okay. And he talks about that as I stated about a month ago. The Save America Act cannot be forgotten. That, ladies and gentlemen, is, I believe, of course, the release of Nasara Jassara, okay? Now, this is where it gets even more important. So we've had a little bit of fun around the codes and everything else, but let's get down to some big nitty-gritty before we take it over to you for the Q&A. Whiplash did come out and make a statement, and he says the DTCC won't accept any more red flags from July the 13th, and especially in lobster. Now, we know those who have been in lobster for quite some time. I want you to sit back and hold on to your seats. We will touch on this in a little bit more depth, of course, on Finance Friday. But let's watch this unfold. The connections of what Whiplash was actually referring to was not just the DTCC. It was also connected to a very interesting article that popped up about Strobe Finance. Now, they were the only decentralized leading protocol on the XRP ledger. Now, they're shutting down. Now, their reasoning for shutting down was, of course, that they were unsustainable. They weren't getting any more funding, but I think there was more to that. I think that particular company came in, did what it needed to do, and is no longer needed to be utilised, which sort of tells me that perhaps the XRP ledger, that being the utility blockchain of your government or tier one government movement from, as I said, their old system into the new system. So I found that to be quite interesting. But what is also very interesting regarding July the 13th. In July the 13th, 2023, XRP was finally declared not a security. In July the 13th, 2026, the DTCC, again, backs up what Whiplash posted, begins tokenizing $114 trillion worth of assets. Now, that's quite a substantial amount of assets. Now, if they're going to be tokenized on the XRP ledger, and then we have like a revaluation, that's quite substantial, isn't it? So keep an eye on that on July the 13th, No more red flags in lobster. Very, very interesting. But it even gets more fun, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have fun today. That being, of course, the CEO of Ripple Blockchain. Now, we know that Ripple also runs on the Stellar Network. But the CEO himself, Mr. Brad Garlinghouse, has tattooed planets lining with July the 13th, 2023. Now, these planets are, interestingly, coming up again on July the 17th. The 6 planet alignments that is tattooed on Brad Garlinghouse's arm, I believe, is Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury. Now, this is said to be, in the astrological side of things, the greatest sky event of the decade on July the 17th. Who would have thought? And the CEO just happens to have this marking on his tattooed on his body. Is that a coinky dinky? Yes. Well, Brad Garlinghouse, I've often referred to him as the leprechaun. He is, quite often dressed in a leprechaun suit, so to speak. Anyway, July the 13th. Let's stick with this because this gets even more fun. On July the 13th in 2024, how can we forget what occurred in Butler, Pennsylvania? This, of course, was the attempted assassination of President Trump. A bullet crossfired and just grazed his ear as he tilted 1/4 of the way. If you tilt a crosshair from a rifle, tilt it, doesn't it look like an X to you? Just putting that out there. Anyway, President Trump, being the man he is, stands up. That is a representation for us to stand up as well, ladies and gentlemen. It is also to do with fight, 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 the fist pump that we all signify for that particular day. These attempts have happened right before milestones. So on July the 13th, 2024, how can we forget the assassination attempt? Trump also mentioned, of course, in his speech on July the 4th, he talks about Venezuela's. And of course, the dictator, how it only took them half an hour to capture him in an operation. Like I said, half tilt, half-hour operation. Venezuela's, of course, as we need to remind ourselves, this war was always about the children and the child trafficking that occurred. Was he also telling us that that was also coming to a very close end to that operation, not just with about Maduro, it's also about the child trafficking. America saves the servicemen behind enemy lines in Iran. That was a huge thing. And let's not forget the 0 casualties. And that happened, of course, between Good Friday and Easter. Okay, so is this all starting to come full circle, ladies and gentlemen? We wish and hope that it is. As I said, before we get into Q&A, let's have a quick update for what's going to transpire for the rest of this week and, of course, leading into next week. Finance Friday, digital assets, we're going to be talking, as I said, about CBDCs and interoperability, Web3 understanding in a very brief understanding. We're going to explore the chain link networks that are connecting our central banks to our new treasuries and how that operates. And of course, I'm back with Holly next week, early next week. So hopefully that gets released around about early to midweek. You'll get some more Avi and Nasara updates on Holly's show with Mel. Oh, it's Holly's show, but I'll be on Holly's show next week. So we hope to get the boys back over the weekend or on Monday with Moments with Mel on Monday. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a bonza week coming up. But I was just catching up with some magnificent news that was sent to me by Love Trumpy, the citizens of Kenya. So this is a bit of an RV wink, wink operation here, okay? But the citizens of Kenya have asked to deposit all of their cash by the end of July, and announcing the native currency, NACFA, remains the only legal tender for their country. And congratulations to Kenya. They are telling their citizens, as we have seen in many countries across the world, that there is a revaluation happening. How it unfolds, we still don't really know for certain, but you can be certain that there's movement at the station for the word that passed around, and things are certainly moving in the digital world as well. So have they done enough in the digital world, or are they going to ping or peg to something else? We will touch on that more on Finance Friday in Digital Assets. Well, right now, ladies and gentlemen, I've spoken for 24 minutes. It is over to you. So God's Elf, can you just let us know who is up first and foremost to start this Q&A for all of you?
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Just a reminder to keep your microphone muted until I call your name. If you unmute your microphone, before I call your name, I will go put you back to a red mute. If you do it twice, you will stay red muted for the rest of the chat. The first person tonight is Brian Durkin. Brian Durkin, did you have a question? Brian, hit your big blue button if you want to ask a question.
Sorry, no question.
Oh, sorry.
All right,
hello, Brian.
Sarah Lige, I think, Lige, Sarah. Sarah, did you have a question? I don't see her anymore, so I don't know. L17, I know you know how to work that button. Did you have a question?
Oh, yes, I do. It's good to see you.
My friend from Sarasota. How are you, my darling?
I'm doing really well. See, I think I have 3 questions if I can remember them all, but you spurned one for me here. So they're starting to tokenize things both for Stellar and on the Ripple. Is there a division in that? So is the stock market going over to Stellar, or is it going on both? Is real estate just going to Ripple? I mean, is there some division, or are we able to buy from either or, and that was always the plan? So that's my first question.
Yeah, look, this is what I'm going to break down, actually. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's why I said on Finance Friday, we're going to start breaking it down, because it does give you the impression that there's divisions and this, that, and all the rest of it. But it's like I often say, in Australia, we utilise the XDC network here in Australia. And that was used through a company called Novati. And that was when they transitioned from the Reserve Bank of Australia into the Australian Treasury. Other countries such as FedNow are using Chainlink as well. So I think each country, back, like I said, around 2012, put out the tenders for those operations. Each one put a tender in, and whoever won that tender. So it depends on the requisitions of what was going to occur in each country. Some countries, understand, don't have stock exchanges that are established enough, so they may only require a certain amount of network requirements, I should say, to operate just specifically for that being on the Forex. And this is why it's important. It sort of gives you that feeling of division. And note everything goes through Stellar Network, okay, whether it's Ripple, XRP, or anything like that. They all go through the Stellar Network. It all depends on, as I said, the Ethereum network, for instance. It holds certain utilities which are utilised for NFTs, which is used in the art platforms, the gaming platforms as well. They're going to need Web3 to integrate as well. So I think there's many, many elements to every network, and every country's utilising a different network based upon what the requirements were in each of those countries. So, but we will look into that, and sort of into that Finance Friday. We start to try and keep it uncomplicated, but it sounds complicated, but it's not really. But does that make sense?
But I wasn't sure. But okay, so I can't remember the third question, so I'll just go with the second one. So I'm really glad to see that the red flags are going to come off in the lobster wallet. I'm actually very excited about all I see happening over there. We get to know about things 2 to 3 weeks before everybody else finds out about things. And still, we can't convince people that this is really a military operation, which astonishes me. But the one thing that really bothers me is now there's a new thing that came out called MAGA Academy, which is 5-minute bite-sized pieces that explain what the QFS system is, what is a stable coin. I mean, not only is it good for our people who don't know very much about digital assets, et cetera, but for those of our friends and whatnot that come along behind, it's in layman's terms. It's not in, digitese. So I'm just wondering if you've seen that and what you think about that, and how do we get people to start trusting that this is really real? Because there's amazing things people are missing out over there.
Yeah, it is. And again, I think it comes back to for the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and some people still struggle with that, connecting their intuition or their heart towards cryptocurrencies, as they think they still are cryptos when they're actually digital assets. And we still have this grinding fight inside our intuition. Again, it is going to be it's a personal struggle. We all still have personal struggles about certain things, I guess. And as I said, I'd like to see those red flags go as well. We did some deep dives. Our Wisconsin group and I sat down a couple of times over the last few days, digesting these red flags. And of course, as I said, as things start to unfold, it unravels certain things. But we have touched on quite a few times where we've actually talked about this education. And I've talked about that even with at the redemption of our currencies and things like that as well. There is going to be this, like I said, this movement. We see it through JP Morgan, also, moving through and allowing people to be educated in that of generational wealth. And the same thing will happen in the crypto world. I am starting to see more and more subject matter coming out to help acknowledge this transition. You've got to remember, this is the biggest transition that we as a world are going through. And it is just as difficult for people who are of age, I guess. They have their own little struggles with technology and comprehension. And it's also very difficult when majority of what is being spoken about is that of us in Western countries. And we have to be more patient, I guess, towards those who are migrants, and this is their second language, and they're understanding how they wish to express themselves. And I have those issues myself when I'm in their country. So yeah, it's frustrating, but I definitely see much more education or disclosure coming out. And as I said, it is for the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and everyone has their own level. As frustrating as it might be for us, it is one of those things. But we will continue. And I think Thursday the 13th, going into the Friday. Also, I just remembered too, Trump did focus on the 13 stars. We tend to focus a little bit on the negative when we saw the 13. We're thinking about the 13 families, of course, that established the flag and the country. But I think it was more to do also with, as I said, was he signifying dates rather than just the flags as well. And Thursday the 13th is certainly looking like some pretty interesting activities going to go on there. So fight, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Who's up next, God's Elf?
Mountaintop. Mountaintop, did you have a question?
Hi, Mel. Yes, I do. Maybe two.
That's okay.
Okay. Now, and I know you're going to talk more of this on Friday, as you've just said, but my question popped up right away when you connected CBDC to Stellar to being wholesale. So then I must have this all wrong in my head. I thought XRP was wholesale, or is cross-border interoperability. Is that not wholesale?
That is wholesale. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
so the interoperability and the CBDC and XRP are exactly what you said. We're just going to talk about it on Friday. So yes,
so
it is.
Stellar, you didn't necessarily mean XLM.
No.
Okay.
They all run under. They all operate under the Stellar network.
Yeah.
So the Stellar network. Yeah. XRP runs on the Stellar network.
Yeah. Okay. So then XLM is like a retail token. Is that?
It's the retail. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And then as part of that, now CBDCs, I thought, oh no, CBDC is bad. I've heard some bad, some good. Then didn't they just pass a law? We can't have CBDCs because it was either an executive order or a law.
Yeah, this is what this transition is all about. So when we first heard about CBDCs, it was for us to wake up and listen, right?
Okay.
But the CBDC was an actual fact. That was the introduction of what could have been to integrate your XRP ledger, or the interoperability of that being what they clarified as a wholesale CBDC. So this is what I'm going to explain. On Friday, we're going to talk about what was to be the central bank digital currency and comparing that to central banking digital currency, where this was which was the old one, going into the new one, which is your wholesale interoperability, meaning that it operates on the same ISO 222 messaging system. And that's why we see CBDCs coming up, especially in the UK, who are still struggling, of course, with digital ID. It's the same thing, just different projectiles of what was to be a digital ID is now being incorporated with interoperability. And that's what we're going to be talking about, because people still struggle. Majority of us still now understand that the XRP is your wholesale CBDC, which was to be, but we no longer have central bank digital currencies. They are central banking digital currencies. And this is where it becomes very interesting on Friday, because it's going to give more clarity, I think, for those not like you, Mountaintop. You've got it nailed. And this is why when we touched a little bit earlier on the show and I was talking about the new retail system, this is telling us that that is our XLM being integrated into this system. It was taking the power from the Reserve Bank into the Treasury, and now it's coming to we the people. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I hope that actually answers your question, Mountaintop. You're so special. So, but we get to catch up again very soon. Just saying. Who's up next, Godzell?
Coach Kathy, 1111. Coach Kathy, 1111. Did you have a question?
1111.
Can you hear me? It turned off and then turned back on. Hi, Mel.
Hello, how are we?
I'm doing great. You're looking amazing. I
Thank
was
you.
so excited. I was so excited to listen to. I keep my finger on there and it keeps cutting out. He was talking about. I don't know if you listened to that speech.
Which one was that one, hun? I missed
He
it.
mentioned something and I couldn't I could not wait to ask you. He said, because that's for the youth, right? For the Trump accounts, for putting, or, for helping them. And he said, we're checking into Australia.
Yes.
And what they do, but it has to do with the older adults.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, I can't wait to ask Mel.
Well, it's interesting.
Right on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this actually started again, or would have been about a month or two ago. One of our New Zealand counterparts, subscribers, pointed something out and sent me an article in New Zealand. Now, this was to do with their KiwiSaver account. And I've always said to New Zealanders who think they are missing out, they are the keystone in a lot of things. As I said, the New Zealand dollar is going to be pegged, or pinned, I should say, to the Venezuela's Bolivar, which is very interesting. That's going to stabilise both their currencies. But let's get back to this child saver account, this sovereign $1,000. This has been happening here in Australia for quite some time. So here in Australia, every child that's born, I believe, gets $900 already. So that's already in place here. In New Zealand, they open up a KiwiSaver account for every child born. An automatic saver account is opened by the government to inject that $1,000 over there. And that's to encourage people in New Zealand to create like a trust account, similar to a trust account for their child. And the government will be supporting all of that. So that's basically very interesting, though. I want people to think about this whole straw man thing, because it's actually part of that. We no longer have birth certificates because we now have the birth of your child now has its own account. The account is now open for your child. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. That means they are not trading your birth certificates any longer on the stock exchange. Everyone should be very excited about that. Oh, what's doing, ladies and gentlemen? So understand the excitement that we were experiencing, like I said.
I think I'm going to save Billy for tomorrow, you guys. Does that sound good? We got a lot of information from Mel today. So that was pretty good. I'm glad I played it. We'll play Billy tomorrow. We got about 20 minutes.
Excitement that we were experiencing, like I said, several months ago when we talked about New Zealand's KiwiSaver accounts being opened up for their children. Trump comes out, talks about it, talks about Australia. Well, Australia's, like I said, have already had kind of like NASARA for every child born. I think they get $1,200 or something, I think it is. As I said, for the eyes to see and the ears to hear in your country, keep an ear out for these little snippets, because it also indicates, like I said, that this is the non-tradable birth certificates no longer, that your child is not being, straw-manned on the New York Stock Exchange. This is all about your sovereignty. So every child born now has their own sovereign wealth fund. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, that's very good, Coach. 1111. Who's up next? God's help. Try and get through some of these.
Yeah, we've got like 8 or 10 of them. So
okay.
All for truth. All for truth. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, Mel.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Excellent. What have you got for us today?
So I wanted to take your take on, and it has to go with the lady who just talked before. So Trump had the bell in his office, and he rang it. Do you know how many times he rang it? 12 times. And it signified ringing of the stock market, but was it also a symbol of the Liberty Bell?
The Liberty Bell and the 12 days of Christmas.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's okay, darling. My pleasure. Just throwing it out there. Anyway, so random today. Who's up next? God's out.
TBJO2. TBJO2.
How's my brother?
Very good. How's my sister?
She's looking superb today, boy.
Well, thank you for.
What have you got for me today?
Well, I have two questions. The first question is it true that the Zimbabwe bonds were guaranteed by gold deposits in Zimbabwe, and this arrangement was coordinated through the Pentagon years ago?
Yes.
And does that add to the value of the Zimbabwe bonds, this guarantee?
The guarantee was more of a contract.
I'll ask a different way. Is that good for the value of the Zimbabwe bonds?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Now I want you to ask me another question so I can tell you where you can find that contract.
Where can I find that contract?
In your SEC. That blew you away, didn't it? In fact,
yes.
If you do a few big deep dives, you will actually find, say, for instance, perhaps the near value of the Australian dollar in there, and a few other currencies as well. So these were all contracted, and you will find them in your SEC. So there's some homework for you to do, TBJ02.
I am a student, and I will dig on it. My last question is, and the only reason I'm asking this question is because I've heard various answers to the same question, and it is, when we redeem our foreign currencies, will we receive the new asset-backed U.S. dollars in this exchange and not the current fiat currency?
Okay, I'm going to answer this in two parts. The reason I'm going to do that is because the expectations is this. The Iraqi dinar is expected to be on the actual Forex exchange on Sunday the 15th. No, Saturday, going into Sunday. So overnight on the 15th for all of you, my expectations is that you will see the Iraqi dinar officially on your front screen. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be a complete rate change just yet. I think that might happen middle to late next week, perhaps, going into the 17th, 18th, 19th, thereabouts, okay? The second part to that is that, what was the, I lost now where I was going to go with that. Ask me the second question again, TBJ02, please. Can you just unmute him, God's elf? I lost my trail of thought because I was focused on the Iraqi dinar going on the market.
Well,
can you just
TBJ, raise your hand again so I can see you.
That's it, perfect.
Almost over, you guys.
Yeah, thanks. So what was the second one?
15 minutes.
Yeah,
sorry. It was only one question. Will we receive new asset US dollars in the exchange or the current fiat currency?
Right. So the reason that's what I was going, I lost my trail of thought. So first part of that is that yes, we're going into, of course, the Iraqi dinar. Understand it's not, let's take the focus off because we all focus on the fiat going onto the US Treasury note. It's not about that. It's about the fact that your fiat is going digital. Now, when it goes digital, therefore there it is then backed by gold and silver and precious metals. It's not that you're going to get the Treasury note. The note itself may be slightly delayed, so they may release that note later on, but the fiat physical currency that you hold will be supported through the digital. As we touched on at the end of this, we talked about how, was it Kenya, that they're asking their citizens to actually bring all of their currencies into their bank and deposit them so that you don't actually hold the physical paper crappy notes. So this is what I'm saying. We all kind of focus on the US Treasury note. We want all these beautiful rainbow notes to come out. It's a transition. So I think it's important to understand that at the exchange, you're going to be receiving a digital stable coin that is now backed. So your fiat now goes digital. You will probably still hold the physical fiat notes, but in the transition, they will eventually be exchanged. When do they release those new Treasury rainbow notes? Who knows? There's so much about that. But again, I think that's going to be a transition, but stay focused on the fact that your fiat goes digital and your digital is your new asset-backed currency, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Because it's
Yes,
not
it does
actually
make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Real quickly,
I just don't want people thinking that they're going to go to the redemption and get this new rainbow. Oh, no, I don't want to put that out there because that makes me sound like a really bad guru. But I just want people to understand it goes from fiat to digital, and digital is, of course, asset-backed. The actual physical exchange may take a few months or whatever. So, but yeah.
When you said Sunday the 15th, did you mean Sunday the 12th?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Okay.
No. What's Sunday? The 15th? No.
It's the 12th.
13th is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So the reason I said the 15th is because keep in mind that Iraq doesn't their banks are closed on those days from Friday to Saturday, and I think they might even have another holiday or something to that effect, or their celebrations or something going on. There was always something going on in Iraq. But I think it's just a great opportunity for them to do it leading into Sunday to announce to their citizens, you know, we're going digital, we're now on the Forex, we're showing our strength as the Iraqi. I don't know if they're going to change that rate until later next week. But I really do think that by putting them on the actual Forex is going to signify one of the strongest applications to say that we are ready now to revalue our currency. I don't know if they're going to come up and just automatically do it. I think they'll float that on the actual exchange. And then I think leading into the 17th, 18th and 19th, then there's a big opportunity for them to then do that then. So that's my logical thinking about that. So only because their banks are going to be closed and they are the father of the dinar, they are going to be stronger than the US dollar. Are they going to be stronger than Kuwait? I think it's going to be equivalent to the Kuwaiti dinar, already being the strongest currency in the world. So let's just wait and see. But happy, it's going to be a big week. It's only just
Thank you very
Wednesday.
much.
My pleasure, sir. It's always great having TBJO2 come up because he certainly gets me wound up a little bit, but that's all good. God's out. Who we got next?
I had Dutchy 17, but I don't see that person anymore. So I wanted to call it out first. Dutchy 17. Okay, Patriot Mama.
Oh, Indiana.
You know who you are.
Hey there.
Hello.
How
How you going?
It's supposed to be Patriot Mama originally, but somebody already had that, and I wasn't willing to give it up. So I dropped the M in the middle, and yeah.
Good on you.
I got a concern, and I'm thinking you're the lady that will have the answer.
Ooh.
So I watch the XE exchange, and I always keep an eye on the currencies. And what I have noticed, some fine. But some of the currencies that us have bought over the last 6 or 8 years are now popping up obsolete. But we never had a chance to exchange them. One of the Bolivar, the Iranian Real used to be on there, now it's not. Okay, some of Zimbabwe. There were several of them that I noticed, and they've changed the Turkish lira, how it comes up now. So
yes, that is.
My question is, if we never had an opportunity to exchange, because I have a contact at JP Morgan inside of a Chase branch, and I keep in contact, and there's never been an opportunity to exchange those because they don't come up on their screens yet. But the last meeting I had, I talked to the vice president of Chase and for that branch, and she said that I never realized this, but she actually signs a document saying that she cannot participate or talk about or anything to do with foreign currencies and several other things, including crypto. She's not allowed because of a license that she holds. So what she did say to me was that when they come up and are available, then they would be able to be exchanged. And that's the best thing she could say to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of things in play here, sweet. All right. So I'll try and talk through it slowly so as not to confuse too many people. It's interesting that she's already signed a document that she cannot participate in exchanges or crypto and this, that, and all the rest of it. Well, there's your first signal, ladies and gentlemen, that they are aware something is about to happen. They've already informed their staff that they cannot participate, whether it be in crypto or currency exchanges. That's the first thing. I want you to think about that. Why did they get them to sign it? Is so that they're not double dipping. That's what double dipping is. But anyway, that's another story. I shouldn't have said that because that's going to create chaos. But here's the thing. They did that because they know something is coming. The second part to that is that, yes, some have been classed as obsolete. And often what happens is people then go to this verge of, well, they're obsolete, so that makes them only novelties or just, play money. As I have just stated with the Iraqi dinar, they can peg to the Kuwaiti dinar, which is their next door neighbour. They virtually are already part of each other, or they were part of each other at one point. So it's quite easy for someone like the Iraqi dinar to peg to that. Egypt, for instance, also has its dinar. If countries such as the Iranian Rial, it's spelt differently to that of the Iranian Rial, but the Oman has Rial, R-Y-I-A-L. Is it to be that all the Rials or Rials also being part of the Middle East could also link together, because the Omar Rial is going to be quite strong as well. I don't think it's anything to be fearful of that you haven't had the opportunity to cash them in yet. And if they do come up obsolete, as I keep pointing out, we have many currencies such as I said, that are pinned. Pinning and pegging are two different things, but we look at the New Zealand dollar being pinned to the Venezuela's Bolivar. Now, just because that currency is going to be obsolete for now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to come up. And I've said this quite often. You will often find, especially, say, for instance, Australia, we have the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. And we often see additions are coming up on their foreign currency exchange app. as I said, you just need to hold on to these currencies and wait for them to either come up on the screen, as I said, or those currencies from those countries may be pinned or pegged to other alternative currencies, which were probably previously their native currencies, and due to wars or separations from like North and South, this, that, and all the rest of it, it's no different to, say, Kazakhstan or Tajikistan. These were segregated from the USSR, and then, you know, they went and pegged their own currencies. A lot of these countries, as I said, although they are classed as obsolete or not on that screen, please understand this is why we had to go digital. We went digital with these blockchains to be able to communicate in such things as the ISO compliant messaging system, as well as the Web3. The web will connect all of these together on July the 13th. Okay, and this is your new web, so to speak. So we had the old web was being unveiled. We talked about this about 2 weeks ago. It's not just a spiritual experience. It's also the physical experience of having something taken away. So this is your new web, and this web, as I said, will reconnect countries. We're talking about Kenya just a second ago, and the same thing will happen. I know in Venezuela, they had like 5 different currencies over the course of the last 15, 20 years. Although they may come up obsolete, they are still classed as tradable until such time as the law in that country says it's no longer. So again, there's many layers to this, but hopefully that answered your question. God's Elf, who's up next?
Well, Mel, we are at the top of the hour.
Oh, wowsy. Let's go to LG Life's Good and Scott, and I will do 3 minutes on each, and that'll tie us up for today, because I did speak a little bit longer today than what I normally do, so I do apologise for that. Is that, and Geo Light, we can catch up next time or private message me. But anyway, go for it. Is LG Life's Good there?
Yes. Yeah, hi Mel, it's Lee. I'm in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia.
How are you?
Fabulous. Just to acknowledge what a beautiful human being you are and love everything you do.
Thank you.
Now, just interested, I read that the Iraqi people are starting to convert US dollars to dinar. That's a big signal, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Huge.
Huge? Okay, great. One other thing, that Phil Godlensky, who,
Yes.
I mean, he obviously is connected, but I just think he's very arrogant and money hungry. But anyway, that's beside the point. And I see he posted that information of yours, but I think it actually came from someone else. He's posted it from...
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I just recently reposted it. So,
yeah. Okay.
That hasn't been around since 2022, 2023. And I reposted it the other day. And it because we continue to do. Yeah.
Cool, some of the stuff you come out with. It's brilliant what you do.
Thank you.
Now, he stated that he reckons Russia will attack Israel. There's an alliance with Russia, US, and Xi Jinping. Any thoughts?
Nah, that's all theatre.
Yeah.
I really see that actually
2
happening.
minutes, you guys.
I think there was 11 missiles went today or something. But anyway, I think everything is significant. We will continue to watch the military, their movement in those areas. As I said, very interesting that we have a naval exercise in the Yellow Sea. So we'll go from there. Scott, I saw you hanging around. You want to pop in and say a quick hello, and we'll wrap this up very quickly.
Hey,
Scott.
Mel, how you doing?
I'm
Hello.
very well. It's only because I haven't spoken to you for a long time. A few other people I can catch up with. So go for it.
Okay. You mentioned the warning labels are coming off the lobster. Is that on Sunday or Monday? Is that right?
There's,
Did I hear that right?
Yeah. Whenever
On
the
the 13th.
13th is.
And they'll all just disappear. As far as you know.
Yeah, that's what I was doing was Whiplash came out with something about it happening. I can confirm is that DTC and articles to sort of like try and validate that, because I thought, well, that's something that he hasn't said anything other than his decode for a long time, and he says this. I go, it's really interesting. Why he's saying that, and that's why I touched on DTCC articles and that the depegging that finance that was the only protocol on the XRP ledger's been shutting down. So it is a possibility, Scott. And I want all of you to keep an eye on that and definitely inform us if there is any indicators of those warning signs disappearing. So he brought it up. I was just...
Okay, that was a big one, huh, you guys? I made it. Tomorrow, I'm not gonna do no hours. only the important ones. Mel's the important one. If I get news for an hour, then I might do her too. But I can only do 1 hour video per show. Yep, okay, everyone's saying we must kill today. And Donna, Ariella. So we got a lot of good stuff out today, huh? Hopefully I can continue not to get sick, so I can try to go 3 hours. So God bless everybody. Thanks, Bob, Carol, Lucy K, Lion Eagle, Tim. And if anything happens, I'll be on till 3 o'clock tomorrow, unless something develops. And God bless. Remember, please hit like, stay safe, stay strong, keep your faith. And where did the sign go, Chico? Did you take the sign? Look, can't find the sign. But show it tomorrow. Thanks, Maria. And never give up. Signing off, Chico and Joe and everybody. And we made it with no issues today. That's a good sign. All right, we'll see you all guys tomorrow unless something develops.